And your reaction to being selected for the NASCAR Hall of Fame, what's it been?
It means everything in the world to me. It really does, Alan. But I do have mixed reviews or mixed views in my mind about whether I deserve to get in. I mean, obviously, I guess I got in because of my wins and the numbers and stuff. But when I look at some of the world's greatest drivers, particularly Benny Parsons, and to think that I got in and Benny Parsons didn't get in, it felt strange to me. It really did. But I'm not giving it back, I'll tell you that. I love being in. I'm really excited about it. It feels like it puts a cap on my career.
And it is well-deserved. And I told him that before it was even announced. I said 55 wins. Look at everybody on the list that's ahead of you. They're either in already or they're still racing. And we talked the day that it happened, and he said, I didn't believe you.
I was completely shocked when I sat there and I walked in. In fact, my son Greg and I walked down the Hall of Fame. We're walking around, and I think I do a pretty good job at reading people's facial expressions about how they feel about things. And every expression I was looking at was a negative expression. It was like, I told Greg, I said, look, we're not going to make it this year. He says, okay. We're just about done. And I was doing all these interviews and talking to everybody. And somebody came and grabbed me and took me up and said, you're going to sit up here in the front. And they took me right to the very front row and put me right next to Robin and Mike Helton. And I said, uh-oh, they just didn't do this for the hell of it, you know. I mean, so they sat down and when they announced my name, it blew me away. It really did. I was so excited. And see, Buddy Parrott was my crew chief for many years, was there with us, and Robin was there with us, and all the people. It was a really special night. And I was totally surprised. I had no clue that was happening.
I can think of very few drivers presently strapping into one of these race cars who would have an appreciation for the history of what a car like the #2 paint scheme we're going to see on the track Saturday night means than Brad, and he gets to drive it on Saturday night. You are a student of the sport's history, so what does it mean to you to have a chance to represent something like this in this race?
Well, you know, when I got the opportunity, and Roger called me and said, hey, look, I want you to drive the 2 car next year, a lot of things went through my head, and certainly Rusty and what the car means. And I meant when I said the car is an icon of the sport. And that's so hard to come by. It's like a jersey in football that you see over and over again. It's so hard to come by. And Rusty created that. And certainly I feel like it's my job to perpetuate that. And I hope that Rusty respects that. And I'm trying really hard to live up to what you've done. It makes the accomplishments I have now not sound that great when you realize you've got over 50 wins in this car. I've got 6, so I thought I was doing pretty well to hear those numbers. So I got a long ways to go to keep up with where he's at. But it's an amazing feeling to have an opportunity to drive a car of that stature. And it just makes me want to drive even harder. And it makes me want to push harder to be a winner and to live up to that legacy. Somebody was joking with me the other day that they'd heard about this paint scheme and I couldn't say anything, and they said, well, you better go tell Newman that it's you driving instead of Rusty. So I thought about those parts too. But
is that the most, of all the great memories you had here, was that one night the most memorable? Hearing the way that you're talking about it, is that the one that stands out the most?
Well, as far as victories, my very first victory in '86, that was amazing, coming from the American Speed Association and getting on these short tracks and winning that race here. My first race was great, and then winning my 50th race here was great. But then in between that, there was some dramatic, crazy wins. You know, I'll never forget the big wreck between Earnhardt and I coming off of turn 4 down the straightaway, and after the race I just brewed the whole 500 laps so mad I couldn't see straight. And I went right down till McGregor was with me, and I couldn't get his attention. I kept saying, Dale, Dale, and he wouldn't listen to me. Because that was the night that him and Terry Labonte crashed and all the wrecking's going on. So I had a water bottle in my hand, I threw it, and my gosh, I never thought I had that good an aim. But I hit him right between the eyes. It was fantastic.
I like that one. Going back to history and tradition, you know, a sponsor team number combo in this sport is very rare to find for the longevity that Miller Lite has had and the Miller brand in general. And that's part of what makes this car so special. And so we owe it thanks to them as well for putting this all together. Like I said, Rusty, you started it all.
Well, I appreciate those kind words, and I do want to thank the Miller Brewing Company for letting us do that, and it was fantastic. On another note, there's not a day that goes by that when I see that car go by, I wish I was still making some laps, and I'll tell you that. And But I know for a long time you were probably getting sick and tired of saying, "What's it feel like driving Rusty's car?" I know I would, and I appreciate you putting up with all that. I really do. And I was telling Brad earlier.
I still sign some of your merchandise every once
Do you?
in a while.
Good.
Oh yeah,
That's great.
Yeah. I think the fans might have a couple in them when they ask me to sign it. But
In some of the advanced materials that were sent out prior to the race, Brad called this racetrack a man's racetrack, is the quote I believe I have correctly. Rusty, why do you think you had so much success here over the years? Is there something in particular?
I really feel like I got a great answer for that. And Robin Pemberton, my great friend Robin Pemberton, hit it on. I mean, I was always a guy that I loved understanding the car, I loved working on the car, like picking my shocks, my springs, my wedge settings, aero numbers, everything. I really got involved in it. And I grew up on the short tracks of America. I raced Winchester, Indiana, Salem, Indiana, all these tracks, and I wanted those places. And so I really loved the short tracks. In fact, before I got in NASCAR, I won over 200 short track races. And I didn't know how to do it any different. I had no idea how to do it. I couldn't feel like I could put it on somebody else. Like my car's not handling, okay, you go fix it, because I've always done it myself. So I get out of the car and I'd say, it needs that spring, or it needs this sway bar, it needs this. And at this particular track, I knew the feel that I wanted. I might not have the fastest car, but I needed a car that maneuvered the best off of turn 2 and off of turn 4 better than most. And I kept working and working until I'd get that feel. I go like, got it, we're ready. This is where you're 10th off. I said, I don't care, I got the feeling. And so I always worked for that feeling. And now I know it's much more technical. There's a lot more to it. And a lot of times I sound old school saying this is the way I used to do it. But that's the way we used to do it, but I know it's different now.
Second, Brad is big on the Twitter. You're big
on Twitter.
On the Twitter.
That's how my dad calls it too, the Twitter.
Big video gamer too, right?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
And there's going to be a little program announced tomorrow where fans and between the Twitter and a big old video game have a chance to do something special with you.
Well, the first time that I went to Charlotte and saw the big TV, or I should say when the big TV version came out of Charlotte, the first thing that I thought of, as well as probably half the population, was it'd be really cool to play video games on that. So together with Charlotte Motor Speedway, we put together a program to where we can play video games on it with some lucky fans, and we're gonna race. So I'm excited about that, and some lucky winners from local contests as well as social media, and specifically my feed, are going to get to come out and to race with us online, and I shouldn't say online, but literally on the screen. And I'm pumped about that. I've always wanted to be a video game player on the biggest screen in the world. That's fun too. So that's a great challenge. I'm looking forward to that. You know, obviously Bruton has a legacy, not just at Charlotte, but even here, of having the biggest and the greatest, grandest of all things. And you see it here today with the sweep we're in. And so I think that's really cool, and I can't wait to kick off that program.